Good afternoon and welcome to our MCAP statewide summit. My name is Dr. Alma Castro. I am the director of the Multilingual California Grant Project. We invite you to please use the chat box and please let us know which district or area you're joining in from. As we get ready for today's session, we want to invite you to please go ahead and sign in. We've added the link to our chat box, and we've also added a link for today's participant folder where you will find today's slides and additional resources. Anya, would you please take us to our next slide? We welcome you to today's statewide summit for stage 3. And I would now like to welcome our CABE CEO, Jan Gustafson Correa, to provide a welcoming message. Jan, welcome.
Thank you so much, Alma. Muchas gracias a todos y muy buenas tardes. Hello, everybody. It is wonderful to see you today and welcome you to our Year 2, Stage 3 launch of the Multilingual California Project. What an exciting time. You know, we know you have had a long day of teaching, of leading, of working at your sites and districts, but we thank you for being a part of this vision that you joined over a year ago to say yes to multilingualism in our schools, yes to a multilingual California, and yes to supporting the vision that we've held at CABE for many years of biliteracy, multicultural competency, and educational equity for all. And it really is truly about educational equity. So, you know, we are here from north to south, from east to west. We are here due to, you'll hear more details, but of great state vision of supporting this vision of multilingual education, of supporting our English learner roadmap. And I just want to start off today by thanking you for having that vision, thanking you for navigating your way through the hurdles and the challenges and the opportunities that have presented themselves through COVID and all the other issues we face on a daily basis. And thank you for maintaining that vision strong. Those of you that are here today are here because you said, we want to go a little bit deeper. We want to really find ways to make this become a part of our vision in our district in systemic and powerful ways. So thank you on behalf of our CABE Board of Directors, on behalf of our CABE team, on the whole MCAP Alliance, who you'll be meeting in just a minute. And to get us started, it just gives me a great honor to introduce you to our CABE Board President, Dr. Barbara Flores, for a few words of greeting. Barbara?
Yes, good afternoon, everyone. It's so exciting to see you all. This is a great project and one of its kind. And I just look forward to participating and meeting all of you. I mean, there's 5 counties, Butte, Fresno, Orange, San Bernardino, San Diego, and also San Diego State University with Dr. Cristina Alfaro and Dr. Margarita Machado Casas. And as you all know, I just retired after about 40 years as a university professor and teacher of teachers, you know, preparing our teachers in the Inland Valley and the Inland Empire with literacy and biliteracy. So actually last 32 years here, and then the other ones were at ASU. But it's very dear to my heart. I'm from Madera, California, near Fresno. So Dr. Gutierrez, I don't know you, but we need to get Madera in there too. So anyway, I really am very excited to, about our Multilingual California project grant, implementing the EL roadmap with culturally responsive pedagogy, with our liberatory design. And I'm so happy to be here. And also to listen to my great friend and colleague today, Dr. Lily Wong Fillmore. I just love her. And hi, Lily, I don't know where you are, but I just am looking so forward to listening to you today. And we're all in for a great treat as well. So welcome, everybody, and ándale, adelante a todos. Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much, Barbara. And you know, this vision of this work really happens with an amazing team. And I'd like to invite Dr. Alma Castro to come back and introduce our wonderful CABE Multilingual California team. Alma?
Sure. Thank you, Jan, and thank you, Barbara, for your warm greeting and for the passion for a vision of a multilingual California. We have a wonderful MCAP team at CABE with strong leadership and a vision for equity and access for a multilingual California from our CABE CEO, our board president. We also have Ruby Flores, who's a director of professional development services, our professional learning specialist, Anya Bobadilla. We also have professional learning specialist, Doctora Erika Garcia. We have Alexandra Ramos, our administrative assistant, and our friend and lobbyist, Martha Zaragoza Diaz, who are all here today supporting this work. Thank you, MCAP team, for all you do. Jan, turning it right over to you.
Thanks so much, Alma. So, as we get ready for today, we like to talk a little bit about what the outcomes are, what we hope we will all have experienced by the end of our session today. And we've broken them up into experiential outcomes and rational or strategic outcomes. So our experiential outcomes, the things that we hope you'll feel and that you'll be motivated by today, are to feel the momentum of the vision of a multilingual California. We hear that from our state level. We hear that from our partners throughout the different counties that are different districts. We are part of that vision and we are making that happen. So we hope you'll really feel that momentum today. We also hope that you'll feel very much engaged in what this year 2 will look like. We are part of a statewide network. We'll be building knowledge together among our county offices, among our LEAs, district and site leaders, our leadership from San Diego State University, CABE, and then throughout the whole alliance. So just that connection and feeling deeply engaged. Then more on the rational side, more the nuts and bolts, the things that we feel like we need to really get a handle on is that we're going to be able to revisit the Multilingual California Project grant and liberatory design framework designed that will be helping us implement the California ELA roadmap policy in some really kind of concrete and really supportive ways. So we'll be revisiting that together to kind of ground ourselves in that. We also look forward to building value on our year 2 stage 3 statewide collaborative partnership. That's you. So districts that are here are part of our stage 3 district collaborative and really go deeper into our learning implementation of the innovations, the professional learning that you started working on last year as well. So as stage 3 districts, we'll be going into those even more deeply together. Also, we want to identify concrete next steps in our partnership towards implementing systemic practices in support of English learners and multilingual programs. And finally, to make available additional professional learning resources, which you'll be seeing along the way today. So we have a set of outcomes, I think, that will really guide us in our collaborating and partnering together. So our agenda that will take us through today, besides our wonderful welcome and introductions, we are going to be very much looking forward to meeting and hearing from Dr. Lily Wong Fillmore. We'll be looking then at our MCAP, Multilingual California Project purpose, goals, and timeline for year 2. We'll be getting a little more deep again into liberatory design, into our different roles and logistics, innovation offerings, professional learning resources and academies, and then of course our closing in our Ultima Palabra. So a very well-planned agenda, and we look forward to being engaged with it with you for this afternoon. Alma?
Thank you. So this MCAP 3-year grant project is supported by experts, researchers, theories, and equity scholars who strongly support multilingual education. We are grateful for their guidance and support in this great statewide grant. Now, as part of your MCAP partnership, our districts will have access to the statewide network of biliteracy EL experts, professional learning opportunities, resources that will be available through synchronous and asynchronous sessions, as well as through our website, and receive coaching and professional learning via various additional opportunities. And as we move into looking at our MCAP Alliance is, the MCAP Alliance is a strong force of passionate leaders committed to implement the English Learner Roadmap policy. The CABE is a lead partner for the project with the strong official partners in Butte, in Fresno, in San Bernardino, in Orange, San Diego, county offices of education, and also our partners at SDSU and our evaluators who are at Wexford. Together, the Strong Alliance is committed during these next 2 years of our grant period to meet our grant goals of building capacity and implementation of the English Learner Roadmap policy across California and work towards creating that vision of a multilingual California. This work of the Alliance is possible through the passion, the commitment of our MCAP leads. And I would now like to just briefly introduce, you'll be hearing more from our MCAP leads as the presentation continues, but I'd like us to welcome our MCAP leads. We have in Butte, we have Holly Harding. In Fresno, and Holly, feel free to wave. Again, you'll be hearing from our MCAP leads in just a few minutes. We have Lisa Clark in Fresno, Dr. Nicole Chavez, who's in OCDE, Isela Jacobo, who's at SDCOE, and then we also have Angelica Hurtado, who's at San Bernardino County Superintendent of Schools. We appreciate your work, MCAP leads, in connecting with our LEAs across the state and helping fuel this grant. Thank you for your support. Now, we know that a robust body of research supports multilingualism in preparing students for academic excellence and to participate fully in the global context. In guiding the implementation of the California EL Roadmap policy and its 4 principles, which you see on this slide, and is also a much more legible piece, is also in your participant folder. The Multilingual California project will deliver a powerful statewide model of professional learning to strengthen capacity of our districts, and then accelerate the academic and multilingual opportunities and outcomes for multilingual learners across California. Through the lens of these 4 impactful principles, we aim to build systems of support and leverage the linguistic assets of our students, of our communities. We also provide high quality professional learning opportunities for our teachers, for our staff, for our administrators, for paraeducators and families, and we will create strong and genuine systems of support to reach alignment and articulation across systems. As we move into our MCAP stages, our MCAP grant was built around these 4 interlocking stages that you see on this slide. Each stage of our grant is aligned to the English Learner Policy principles. And you'll see that stage 1 is built around awareness statewide and providing resources. Here is where we can see that tremendous need and powerful impact of the robust work of our MCAP Alliance in providing statewide resources that where we had to pivot very quickly during the pandemic to virtual learning. And we're continuing this work virtually statewide through stage 1. Year 2, you'll see additional opportunities that will be offered. Now also in stage 2, we deepened our work with a key driving force of leadership via our framework of liberatory design. You had an opportunity to explore the innovations, and we know that leadership is essential in driving creativity and ways to make our systems work even during challenging times of our distance learning, and now as we have come back to in-person learning. We're currently launching and entering stage 3, and we look at the kind of professional learning innovations that are successful. These will be introduced today. You'll learn more about the innovations and additional professional learning opportunities through stage 3 that you'll be able to participate in fully during this year 2 of our grant. The 4 EL Roadmap principles have been woven into the key ways of our grant goals, with a focus of building capacity on the value and cultural and linguistic assets of our communities. You can see the 5 MCAP goals listed there, with a key focus of building the capacity of all educators, supporting best instructional practices, creating a multilingual collaborative, emphasizing high quality models of professional development, and then supporting the implementation of the EL Roadmap policy. And with the knowledge and background of our MCAP goals, I'd like to now turn it over to Jan, who will introduce our superintendents that are present with us today.
Thanks so much, Anma. You know, this grant is really about putting policy into practice. And when we think about creating practice, effective practice, we know that it has to be systemic. And we think about the roadmap, we're looking at principles 2, 3, and then 4, and in 1, of course, as well. When we really get to that systems piece, it really talks about having the support, the leadership, and the collaboration throughout the whole system. So it gives me great pleasure, and I'm not sure if we can advance the slide as well. Thank you. It gives me great pleasure to introduce to you today 3 leaders from our different county offices that really embody that type of leadership, that embody that sense of how to build systems and support and be that person on the ground to really work side by side with our districts, our sites, and all that support them in envisioning a goal of equity and educational excellence for students. And in the case of the Multilingual California grant, a vision of multilinguals and biliteracy. So to start us off, I'm just really thrilled to welcome our superintendent from Butte County Office of Education, Superintendent Mary Sakuma. Superintendent, welcome.
Thank you, Jan. It's a pleasure to be here this afternoon. I want to say thank you to CABE and MCAP and to the Department of Education, through which the funding for this grant is made possible. California has made great efforts in recent years to support every student and every teacher with the opportunities and resources they need to achieve the state's ambitious vision for multilingual education. As a state with 300,000 teachers and 2.5 million multilingual students, the potential for transformative large-scale change is limitless. The state's diversity is its strength, and it represents a unique opportunity to promote both individual potential and the realization of a multicultural, multilingual society. At no other time in history has this dual goal been more urgent. Right now, California needs its students to become globally competent citizens with the knowledge, values, skills, and attitudes to improve their communities, state, and the world. The vision of the EL Roadmap for English Learners captures this belief at this time in history. This vision is for multilingual and EL students to fully and meaningfully access and participate in a 21st century education from early childhood through grade 12 that results in their attainment of high levels of English proficiency, mastery of grade level standards, and opportunities to develop proficiency in multiple languages. MCAP helps support this vision through the grant that we're implementing. The Multilingual California Project Grant, MCAP, is a 3-year grant awarded in March 2020 to the MCAP Alliance through the California Department of Education. MCAP builds on consistently strong research documenting multilingualism as the most effective option for the academic achievement of English learners across all content areas and for preparation to participate effectively in the global workforce. Together, the California Department of Education, CABE, MCAP, and with districts across the state, we can begin to see this vision actualized in the work that continues today. I join my other participating county office superintendents to welcome you to a new year of possibilities. Through the work with MCAP, you are all making a difference in the lives of our multilingual students. I encourage you to stay devoted to this task, and I thank you for your dedication.
Oh, thank you so much, Superintendent. What a powerful message. I love the sense of urgency and preparing our students for a global education and the vision that you bring from our farthest regions of Northern California. And it's so important for us to have the state partnership that reaches into the Northern area. We love working with your team at Butte County, and we thank you for your leadership. Thank you so very, very much.
Thank you.
Wonderful. So we're going to move down the state just a tad. And as you heard, one of our other partners is from the Fresno County Superintendent of Schools. And we are thrilled today to have with us the Deputy Superintendent, of Fresno County Superintendent of Schools, Hank Gutierrez. Deputy Superintendent, welcome.
Well, thank you very much, Jan, and welcome to everybody on the screen here, and welcome to to all of our MCAP partners. On behalf of Superintendent Jim Jovino, I'm here to say welcome to everyone. Special welcome to our team here at the Fresno County Superintendent of Schools. We're ready to begin year 2 of our MCAP grant. We know the importance here in Fresno County, as many of you know on the screen. Fresno County is definitely the you could call us the melting pot of California, and we know how important multilingualism is here for our kids, for their future in a global society. Especially excited to see the impact that this partnership has for all of our districts and all of our participating districts. And, you know, we're especially want to give a special welcome to Sanger Unified, who I believe is on the screen. Sanger's stage 3 district here in Fresno County. They're committed to going, you know, broader and deeper into the competencies. And we hope, you know, Sanger will serve as a model for the rest of our districts. And I will point out that I love the first initiative, if you will, about, you know, helping leaders gain, you know, leverage and helping leaders gain more competence in this initiative. Because as we all know, you know, teachers will strive when their leaders have the capacity to guide them, especially in this work. And we know that with culturally responsive pedagogy as well. When the leader is just as competent as the people that they're serving, that's where we see the synergy start to unfold. And so we're really excited here in Fresno County to be a partner. And I just want to give a special hello to Lisa Clark, who's on our team here and who's on the conference. So on behalf of Jim Jovino and Fresno County Superintendent of Schools, welcome to all of you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Gutierrez. We love working with Lisa and your team for Fresno County. It's been a great partnership. Thank you so much. And, you know, Barbara mentioned earlier, just the urgency. And we know that meeting the needs of our districts in the Central Valley and with the students and families that we're serving there, our coming together can only do more to support those students and families for greater success around that vision of educational equity and multilingualism for all. So thank you so much for sharing that vision with us. Greatly appreciated. So we're going to head down the state just a little bit more now, head into Southern California. And we're really pleased to welcome one of our key partners from the Orange County Department of Education, Dr. Christine Olmsted, a good friend and colleague, Deputy Superintendent and Chief Academic Officer for the Orange County Department of Education, is with us today to share her vision and welcome as well. Welcome, Christine.
Thank you, Jan. It's so nice to see all of you and see the progression of this wonderful opportunity that's been provided by this alliance in the state. It was fun being on the early conversations while writing this grant and seeing it come to full fruition now. So just, you know, both the comments made by Butte County Office of Ed and Fresno Superintendent of Schools, on behalf of Dr. Maharas, our Superintendent of Schools at Orange County Department of Education, we also echo the importance of a multilingual California. You know, I think some people are surprised when they hear about our demographics in Orange County, but, you know, we are almost 60% having students of, you know, a Latinx background, and at least 25% of those speak English as a second language, where most of them are multilingual, even though they might not, you know, be identified as an English learner because they are so competent in their skills right now. So just really excited about this project and moving our districts forward who engage. And definitely Orange County Department of Education supports inclusive practices, including our multilingual learners. And then also just multiliteracy, multiculturalism, responsiveness, all of those things that we know need to be provided for each and every student every day. We also are very proud of the work we've done around a multi-tiered system of support, which I know the team has made sure to embed in all of the work that is going on with this project. So I appreciate that and the support that goes on with understanding that all students belong in each and every classroom, each and every day. And with that, I'd love to thank Superintendent Matsuda for Anaheim Union High School District, as well as Dr. Renee Bryant, who are our partners on this for Orange County and taking this message forward and leading Orange County in this effort. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Christine. I want to thank you for your leadership and saying yes right away when we called about a year and a half ago to say, hey, this grant is coming around. What do you think? And you were right there with us, and the writing and editing and working with your fabulous team, Dr. Nicole Chavez and many others there at Orange County Department of Ed. So thank you so much for your leadership and having that vision and helping us make that vision a reality. Greatly appreciated. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So our next reading is someone very special to us at CABE. You saw Martha Zaragoza Diaz introduced in one of our initial slides. Martha actually serves CABE as our lobbyist. She works very hard in Sacramento to support the needs of English learners and multilingualism through our state policy with our state legislature, the governor's office, with the California Department of Education, the California Commission on Teacher Credentialing. She partners with many different organizations and their lobbyists as well. And Martha is very special to us for many, many reasons. But when we were working on state budget about 2 years ago, Martha was really instrumental in helping the Department of Ed and legislature look at prioritizing the English Learner Roadmap and building funding for that. And we want to thank Martha for her advocacy, for even creating that funding pathway, and for her role and work in all that we do in California to support English learners and multilingualism. So Martha, welcome. We'd like to ask you to give a few words of greeting as well.
Thank you. Hello and welcome, everyone. It is indeed an honor to be here with all of you. The California State Board of Education approved the EL Roadmap, a very historic statewide policy specific to the education of our English learners, on July 12th, 2017. Even though at that time professional learning was taking place, there were still too many teachers, administrators, and parents who did not know about the EL Roadmap, let alone its implementation. In recognition of the need to further build capacity across the state to comprehensively implement the EL Roadmap, the need for additional resources was identified. CABE, along with our partners, recognized this need and decided to pursue funding in the 2019-2020 state budget for this purpose. With your assistance and advocacy, CABE and our partners were successful in persuading the legislature to include $10 million in the 2019-2020 California state budget via the Omnibus Education Trailer Budget Bill. The Educator Workforce Investment Grant Program was established, and thankfully, CABE and CalTOG, Californians Together, were awarded the 2 competitive grants for the purpose of providing professional learning opportunities for teachers and paraprofessionals across the state on the implementation of the EL Roadmap. I know we are close to the end of the program, the EWIC program, so we want to be proactive. Therefore, CABE and again our partners will be exploring the feasibility of another round of funding for the EWIC program for inclusion in the 2022-23 state budget. So please stay tuned for further information and action on this. Thank you for your passion and commitment to our English learner students, multilingual education, and the MCAP program. I look forward to hearing and learning what is being planned for stage 3. I listened and participated on the stage 2 summit, and it was just wonderful and exciting to hear everything that's being done. Again, thank you for your participation on this very important endeavor. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Martha. You really have helped us create policy that impacts practice and taking practice that impacts policy. So thank you so much for that. We greatly appreciate all that you do and support CAVE, Californians Together, and our other partners as well. Muchas gracias. Thank you so much. So colleagues and friends, a few slides back, you had the opportunity to see who was on our advisory council. When we applied for this grant about 1.5 years ago, we invited a group of esteemed bilingual education researchers, practitioners, colleagues that have led us in the field for many, many years, that help guide us in our research and the background that we have for implementing a multilingual California. One such leader, as you know today, is Dr. Lily Wong-Fillmore. And so Dr. Wong-Fillmore, we thank you first of all for agreeing to be on our advisory council and for being with us today. Just a brief introduction, because we really just want to hear from you today, Dr. Wong-Fillmore. But you may know Dr. Wong-Fillmore from many years of research, of practice. She is now a professor emerita at UC Berkeley, but spent many years there working in support of language minority students and students learning in more than one language. She is a true advocate for working with our dual language immersion students for language preservation, and just has had a vision that has really been part of the foundation of our bilingual programs and multilingual network in California, but really nationally and internationally as well. She's recently partnered with Dr. Jim Cummins on different publications. They've done much co-research together, and she has led the way in supporting this vision of a truly multilingual, bilingual California, United States, and world with a global perspective. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Lily Wong-Fillmore. Lily?
Hi, how are you? And thank you, Kaveh, for inviting me to say a few words to the participants in the summit of your Multilingual California project. You're beginning stage 3. The systemic implementation of the plan that is foundational to the goals of Global California. I'd like to suggest that parents, families, and communities are critical components of that system. And in my remarks, I will identify the roles they should be playing in this effort. I hardly need to tell you how important your work is to the many linguistically diverse students in the state's schools. How they fare in our schools will depend in no small part on what they find there, especially in the socio-emotional milieu in their schools and the instructional support they receive in their classrooms. They will need help learning English, yes, but even more importantly, how they fare in school, whether they thrive or just get by, will depend on what they encounter there. They bring the assets of the family, its cultural heritage, language, beliefs, values, and experiences. If the school is able to see what they bring as assets, if it values them, and most of all, if it assumes that the children are ready to learn and provides them the instructional support they need, everything will be copacetic. A lot of ifs, but so much depends on what kids encounter at school. So although these students are classified as English learners, they are much more than that. They are, in fact, California's multilingual resources, treasures, native speakers of scores of languages required for participation in the global economy of the future. That is, if they can hang on to and grow into those languages as they learn English and make their way through the 12+ years of our educational system. They will learn English. How long it takes them to acquire the language well enough to get by without further linguistic help depends on the quality of the instructional support they get in their classes. But every one of the million-plus students classified as English learners will eventually become English speakers. But as I said, they are much more than just English learners. They are also speakers of other languages: Spanish, Hmong, Vietnamese, Chinese, Filipino, Korean, Pashto, and Haitian Creole, to name a few. As they learn English, hanging on to and growing into the languages of their family and heritage will be a far more difficult and uncertain task than learning English. It'll be easier for children who are lucky enough to find themselves in bilingual or dual language programs. They will have opportunities to acquire the academic forms of their home languages, those aspects of language that figure in literacy and school learning, even as they acquire and grow in the use of English. But as you know, that covers only a relatively small number of the 60 or more languages spoken by California's students. If past experience is anything to go by, English will gradually replace the languages of the home for many of these students as they learn English. This may or may not be intentional. Shifts in language loyalty are not usually deliberate, although the social forces that cause them are hard to resist. That's especially true in a socio-political environment like the ones we find in our society, where not knowing English or speaking English that's hard to understand marks a person as an outsider. And children are exquisitely sensitive to such social forces. You and I see the tremendous potential in a multilingual California. Children have no such lofty expectations for the future of the state they live in. They want to be like everyone else, and it is easy to believe everyone speaks English. So, as they learn English, they use it, not only at school, but at home too. And gradually it replaces, cancels the language of the home far too often. What happens to the languages children already speak as they learn English is a question I have investigated and long been interested in. This, in fact, is a deeply personal subject for me, but I didn't fully appreciate its import until I was confronted with its pervasiveness. It is usually assumed that when children learn English at school, they become bilinguals, and most do to one extent or another. But too often, English eventually replaces the language of the home. English becomes the preferred language, and the other language becomes stunted, not growing as it should as children mature. This, as we know, is hardly inevitable. If it were, there would be few bilinguals in this world. Humans can learn and maintain as many languages as they find useful, but many second language learners of English in places like our society tend to put aside their primary languages as they learn English, and over time, they begin to lose it. They don't lose it entirely, of course, but they stop developing it. And eventually, they are no longer able to express themselves easily or to function socially in age-appropriate speech. And that makes it all the more difficult to maintain fluency and facility in the primary language. We can see how it would be problematic for the state's goal of multilingualism with all this. These persons would still be speakers of their native languages technically, although not functionally. The real worry here is the potential disruptions such shifts in language loyalty can have on family life. This is particularly problematic when parents speak little or no English. And as we know, it's harder for adults to learn English as quickly as children do. So, as children switch to English in the home, communication between adults and children becomes strained and awkward. Eventually, it becomes problematic. Over the years, I have heard countless stories from both sides of the linguistic divide in families in which communication difficulties have fractured family closeness and cohesion. Children say their parents do not understand them. Parents say that children do not listen to them. The children feel disconnected from home and family. The parents feel abandoned by the children. This may not sound so different from what many families experience when their children reach adolescence, but it takes on a special meaning in immigrant families where the breakdown in communication goes beyond the turbulence that sometimes emerge as children mature and attempt to negotiate greater independence from parental oversight. Bilingual and dual language programs will protect the children who are fortunate enough to be in such programs. The problem is such programs can't be provided for more than just a few of the many languages spoken by students in California's schools. I hardly need to list the obstacles. You have to have large enough concentrations of children who speak the same language in a school attendance area. And you have to have teachers with fluency in the languages who are certified to teach at the various grade levels and so on. This then is the issue I think needs to be considered as you work on systemic implementation of the Multilingual California Plan, the need to involve families and members of immigrant communities in your work. The school needs to engage parents and community members in discussions of what they can do to ensure that the children not just retain, but continue developing their primary languages and cultural resources as they mature. For the most part, these are not discussions we have with parents and family members. It's just assumed that when they leave their children at the schoolhouse door, parents should trust that they will be educated by the school. If the children don't speak English, they will learn it at school. They will learn to read and write and do math there too. Parents are expected to get their kids to school on time, and except for illness, they should be there every day. And parents should make sure homework gets done. But what children might experience at school as English learners, the difficulties they encounter to learning when they do not understand the language of instruction, what kind of support they receive for learning English, and how long it should take them. These are not topics that are usually discussed with the parents of English learners. Parents need to be prepared to support their children, to understand what they're going through as they make their way in school. The parents, if they are new to English, will be dealing with their own issues, and most of them will be glad for their children to learn English quickly enough to help them in communicating with people in the English-speaking world outside the home. Most importantly, few parents are aware that as their children learn English, they may be losing the family language, even as the children use it less and less at home. It seldom occurs to people that language is always a work in progress. It needs to be put to various communicative uses, whether spoken or written, to be kept strong and vital. Even more importantly, for children to develop mature language resources, they have to be communicating with others about the ideas, topics, and issues that people talk about as they mature. The language skills and resources of a person at age 10 are not the same as those of a child at age 5, nor are they the ones we expect in someone at age 15. There is vocabulary, of course, but even more importantly, there is grammatical development and critical knowledge of appropriate discourse, what you can say, what you shouldn't say, to whom, under what circumstances, and so on and so on. Learning all of this takes time and practice, and it takes understanding and support. For all kids, especially those whose family languages are not supported by bilingual or dual language instruction at school, this requires family and ideally community action. And this is where I hope youth will, as you think about the many moving parts of this effort you are involved in, that you give some real consideration to families and communities as partners in your work. They have the language, they have the cultural resources, they have the biggest stake in the success of your project. But they need to know what their role is, why it is necessary, and they need to be encouraged to take it on. Few people think much about language learning, how language learning happens, or how language develops over the course of a person's life. Even fewer have much insight into how languages can be lost. While some people have experienced language loss themselves or in someone close to them, they do not necessarily understand the mechanism or how it happens. It would help, I think, for parents to learn about that process and to discover how critical a role they play in preventing it in their own families. Communities can play a big part in supporting the efforts of families to keep heritage languages strong and vital. Historically, this was something various immigrant communities have done. When I was a child, I attended an after-school Chinese class weekdays from 5 to 8 p.m. and on Saturdays from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. The Croatian community in Watsonville, the Santa Cruz County town where I grew up, had clubs and classes for its children too, although I think they were mercifully not as frequent as the ones put on by the Chinese community. I always suspected that the Croatian kids had more fun in their classes than my friends and I had at Chinese school because they always seemed to be so happy. They didn't have to go there every day and on Saturday too. In other words, this has got to be reasonable. So as I read about the vision behind the global and multilingual California initiative for which this program instantiates part of the roadmap, I think about the many students and their families from all over the world in our state. California can and will benefit from having its incredibly diverse population with the linguistic capability to participate in the state's far-reaching international economic activities, but only if we take steps to support and develop those precious linguistic resources in all of our children. Thank you.
Very powerful. Thank you, Dr. Lily Wong Fillmore, for your powerful message and reminding us of viewing and validating English learners as our multilingual treasures, for your message on the importance of language maintenance, for uplifting the linguistic and cultural assets of our students and the communities that affirm their identities, and for encouraging us all to continue to strengthen home and school relationships and build genuine partnerships. Thank you for your contributions to the literature and for leading the way to inspire us all to continue this critical work.
Thank you.
Muchísimas gracias. Thank you. Thank you. I'm going to now ask, just so inspired and so moved by the message, and I hope that we're all leaving with just so much knowledge and actionable next steps from our message of our advisory council member, Dr. Lily Wong Fillmore. I'm going to now ask Anya Bobadilla if she could kindly stop share so that we can be on a full screen. As we move into the next part of today, we have heard powerful messages from our board president, from our CABE CEO, from our lobbyist, Marta Zaragoza Diaz. We just heard a very powerful, inspiring message from Dr. Lily Wong Fillmore, message of collaboration and support through the MCAP project of our superintendents and our MCAP leads. And we'd love to capture this moment. We know that oftentimes, we are in these spaces, and we are in a very powerful space right now where we're making great impact and progress of building the capacity of across the state of all leaders at all levels. So we'd like to take just a quick 10 seconds if you'd like to represent and like to be a part of this moment and capture this picture. Please open your cameras. Please give us a smile. Our team's going to do a couple of shots. There are 100 of us on this screen, and this is just so amazing. So we'll do a couple of shots on the screen, and then we'll continue our conversation, but just feeling very inspired. I hope you are too. So we'll smile now. And it's going to take us a minute because we have 100 of us on the screen. Wonderful. I think we have all 100 of us. So feeling very inspired to continue today's work. We have a great lineup of supporters. Thank you again, Dr. Lily Wong Fillmore, for your message. We hope to continue to stay in close communication and share with you the impact across the state with our 5 county offices and our 28 participating LEAs. Thank you. So we'll go ahead and continue our work for today. And part of our work for today in this summit is also earlier today, we introduced briefly our MCAP leads. And I'd like to now go ahead and turn it over to our MCAP leads to introduce their teams, welcome their stage 3 LEA or LEAs that will be participating, as well as their teams. So I'll go ahead and turn it over now to our MCAP lead at VIEW, who is Holly Harding. Welcome, Holly.
Thank you, Dr. Castro, and thank you, everyone, and good afternoon. I'm so glad you're here. Thank you to the entire team at CABE, who's been supporting us all through this work over the last year and a half. So on behalf of our Butte County Superintendent, Mary Sakuma, and my director, Guillermo Castillo, our entire instructional team, we would like to welcome 2 participating year 3 districts from our region. Here today, we have Corning Union High School District, Charlie Troughton and Brad Schreiber, who lead wonderful team of teachers and paraprofessionals and administrators. And then also Thermalito Union Elementary School District, Lisa Cruikshank, yay! And she's a fearless leader, a wonderful person. She leads a fabulous team of teachers and administrators, and I know some of them are here in the Zoom room today. So thank you both of these districts who are attending today. And I look forward to continuing the learning that was started last year and supporting you with new learning this year. And I believe Lisa is next.
Thanks, Holly. I would like to send a very warm welcome to Sanger Unified. Sanger Unified has a very special place in my heart. Not only was I a student there, but I also taught there for 20 plus years before coming to Fresno County. So it is extra exciting for me to have my friends in Sanger joining us. So Sanger has always been a lead in especially work for English learners. So I know Teresa Blanchard is on here. Teresa is an excellent resource for multilingual learners and materials and instructional. I mean, the list can just go on. So anyway, I am really excited to welcome Sanger Unified with us in stage 3.
Thank you, Lisa. We'll welcome now Dr. Nicole Chavez.
Thank you so much, Dr. Castro. Such a pleasure to have everybody here today. On behalf of our Superintendent of Schools, Dr. Almijares, welcome all MCAP Alliance partners. I do want to ensure that I provide the space for a shout out to the remarkable Anaheim Union High School District being present. Dr. Renee Bryant, I know you're in the house. Let's give a shout out. Did you hear them? It was faint, but it was there. Wonderful. I do want to provide an immense sentiment of appreciation and gratitude to Anaheim Union, as well as Dr. Renee Bryant for all of the leadership in leading multilingualism across our county, being innovators, constantly being remarkable partners to engage in the much needed work that we need to engage in. Thanks so much, Anaheim Union, for your presence here today. I'm off to my friend and colleague, Angelica.
Thank you, Nicole. And good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of our Superintendent, Ted Alejandre, and our multilingual education team here at San Bernardino County Superintendent of Schools, we want to welcome all of you. And we want to thank you for being here and joining us. It's truly exciting to see our districts that are now moving on to stage 3. I'm going to invite our districts. As you can see on our slide, there are 7 participating districts from our county, but today I'm going to highlight 2 that have moved into stage 3, and I want shout outs from you guys. Go ahead and unmute and make some noise. I want to introduce San Bernardino City Unified School District, who also holds a very special place in my heart. I did teach there for about 25 years, and they're in the house today. The leader there is Miss Melanie McGrath. I want to thank Melanie and her team for being here. So can we just make some noise, SBCUSD? Woohoo! All right. Next, we have Hesperia Unified USD, and I also want to thank them for joining us. They're tremendous partners with us and collaborators, and leading them today and always is Mr. Alex Cristales. Can you also make some noise for Hesperia? Let me hear you. All right. Well, thank you. And again, thanks for being with us. And I look forward to the great work we're going to be doing, going deeper into our work with our innovations. I'm going to pass it over to my colleague Isela from San Diego County Office of Education.
Thank you, Angelica, and colleagues. On behalf of Dr. Goffel, our county superintendent, and the rest of our SDCOE team, I'd like to thank each and every one of our 9 LEAs for their active participation in this grant, as we continue to refine our practice, services, and structures to celebrate the many assets of our English learner students and families, and responding to their needs. So before I invite our stage 3 LEAs to make some noise, I'd like to acknowledge our Executive Director, Dr. Olympia Kyriakides, and she's in the room. So Olympia, say hi, for all the wonderful work she does in our region and for MCAP. Thank you, Olympia. The San Diego County Stage 3 LEA is Valley Center Palma Unified School District, led by the wonderful Dr. Mel Robertson. So Mel, say hi. Yay,
Valley Center.
Woo! We also want to take a minute to recognize our Stage 2 Plus LEAs who attended our summit last week. And those are Chula Vista Elementary School District, Fallbrook Union Elementary School District, Jamul Dulzura Union School District, Lemon Grove School District, National School, South Bay Unified School District, Vallecitos Elementary School District, and Vista Unified School District. So thank you, colleagues, for being here and for the wonderful work you're doing every single day for our English learner students and families. And I'll hand it over to my wonderful dear colleague, Dr. Cristina Alfaro from SDCOE. I'm sorry, from SDSU. Thank you. Almost SDCOE, but it's SDSU. Thank you, Dr. Alfaro.
Thank you, Isela. Always a pleasure to hear what all of the different districts are doing, and what I'm here to share with you today is about the University Global Seal of Biliteracy, which we started last spring, 2021, and are continuing with our engagement right now. We are going through orientations, and we have now hundreds of students that are interested. So we're trying to figure out how we're going to service all of them. So that's a good problem. But in the meanwhile, what I want to share with you today is something very exciting. I just had a meeting with upper leadership at San Diego State. And for 2 years, we've been trying to see how we can get the seal on the student's transcript and their diploma. And today is the day that I received the green light to go ahead and move forward with that. That is a huge accomplishment for us, because now it's not just about them receiving a badge, which is what they've been receiving. It's a badge. It's an electronic badge that they can put on their resumes, but now it's also going to be included in their transcripts and their diplomas. So I'm adding that now to my orientation, which is going to mean a lot more to our students. But ultimately, what we're trying to do is really prepare lengthening the language learning process for all of our students. Next week, in 2 weeks, we're going to be doing a recruitment nationally to recruit students that are graduating with their state seal of biliteracy. If they want to continue with their university seal, that they might want to consider San Diego State as a place that they can do this. So in the meanwhile, we're trying to see how we're going to grow this to be a larger program at San Diego State. And in the process, we're developing a handbook so that we can share with other universities that would be interested in doing this. One of the key components that came up in my conversation with upper leadership today is that we want to make sure that we follow that cautionary note that goes way back to 1996, when Guadalupe Valdez talked about making sure that these programs do not ever exclude our students, especially Latino students that they were initially started for, or students that come to school speaking another language other than English, and in this case, into the university. So we want to make sure that it doesn't become a program that is going to leave out the students that we are intending this for, so that we don't gentrify the program, but we make it accessible to all students, especially students that come with as heritage speakers. So the other component is that we have now extended the University Global Seal of Biliteracy to the doctoral program. And we continue with our research to inform the implementation as we grow the program. So I look forward to sharing all this with you at the GABE conference, where Dr. Alma Castro and I, and Rika Barton, who will be a doctor at that time, and she'll be graduating with her Global Seal of Biliteracy, will be presenting at GABE. And we'll be doing a pre-conference where we will be sharing step by step the process that we have gone through at San Diego State to institute the Global Seal. So more to come. Thank you for the time.
Thank you, Dr. Alfaro, and congratulations. Thank you for sharing such great news about the badge on the transcript and your recruitment efforts. And SDSU, under the leadership of Dr. Cristina Alfaro, implemented the University Global Seal of Biliteracy this past year. We continue to grow, as you've heard from the updates. But in addition to this program, we're also developing at SDSU another program. I'd now like to welcome, I do see that Dr. Alberto Esquinca is here with us, and at SDSU, Dr. Margarita Machado Casas is working with her team on strengthening bilingual teacher preparation programs through an IHE network and collaborative. So welcome, Dr. Esquinca.
Hi, thank you, Alma. My name is Alberto Esquinca. I'm here representing the team from San Diego State, including Dr. Margarita Machado Casas. I'm very pleased to let you know about the efforts we're doing in collaboration with this wonderful project. As you can see on the slide there, we're working on building a collaborative network of IHEs across the state. And so to do that, we've developed some modules for some of the information that tells the story of the Department of Dual Language English Learner Education and how we got here. And so we have, on par with that, we have all this semester, we're having monthly meetings to build that relationships with partners across the state. And so we had our first meeting, I think September 3rd. Tomorrow we have our second meeting, and we're very excited because Dr. Alberto Ochoa will be participating in that, and he's one of the board members as well. And so he's going to help us reflect on and think about our history, how we got here. So the way we're doing that to build the relationships with IHEs, we are starting by telling our story and telling a little bit about our department identity, and reflect other IHEs on what their history is and how we got here and what puts us together. And so in addition to that, we hope to invite participating IHEs to also convene as part of the San Diego Dual Language Conference in January, and continue on in the spring at CABE, the CABE conference. So we really have a lot of interesting and hopefully exciting activities to build that collaborative network. Thank you.
Gracias, Dr. Esquinca. And I do believe Dra. Margarita Machado Casas has also joined. Our first convening, IHE convening was just a few weeks ago. We are holding our next MCAP SDSU IHE convening tomorrow. And we've had participation from CAPTE, from SSU, CSULB, UCSD, UCR, CSU Santa Barbara, CSU Chico, and CSU LA. And we hope to continue to encourage IHEs to be a part of this collaborative network, be a part of the conversation, and looking forward to strengthening systemically the supports of necessary of a PK 20. So thank you again, SDSU, for your two amazing projects under the leadership of Dra. Cristina Alfaro and Alberto and Margarita. Muchísimas gracias. So as we continue, we're going to go ahead and share our slides again. And as we continue our presentation, I'd like to highlight our MCAP work that was accomplished during year one of our partnership. Anya, would you go ahead and share your slides? And as we continue with sharing some of these highlights, part of our highlights for year one were partnering with 26 LEAs from our 5 county offices of education. We also had our statewide summits last year. We continue to have our monthly MCAP Alliance meetings. We also had webinars for teachers, paraeducators. We had our Parent Leadership Summit, and then we saw a need to provide support documents, and as an MCAP Alliance, we developed some support documents for LCFF, LCAP, and Learning Continuity Plan. Again, the implementation of the University Global Seal of Biliteracy. Our MCAP website is active and has resources, and we have continued our work with social media outreach. So, you know, the slide is being shared, but there's a summary on slide 28 of what was just shared. And as I move into the next slide, in the fall of 2020, we invited our county superintendents and state leadership for the Superintendent Forum, a powerful time where we celebrated our partnership in this MCAP work. We had a warm opening by our state superintendent of instruction, Tony Thurman. We also engaged dialogue on the important role of leadership for multilingual learners and forming around support services for the EL roadmap policy. We recognize the key role of visionary leadership for the successful implementation of all 4 principles of the English Learner Roadmap policy and continue this work as we move into year 2 of our grant. On our next slide, you'll see that in the fall of last year, we held our statewide teacher and leaders summit, where we went deeper in our work of our grant framework of liberatory design and introduced year 1 innovations. We had representation from all county offices of education, teachers and paraeducators participate in year 1 innovations. We also had today, we heard from Dr. Lily Wong Fillmore, one of our MCAP advisors, but during the MCAP summits in fall of 2020, we heard from our advisors, Dr. Patricia Gana and Dr. Kathy Escamilla, who also provided a message of continuing our work, of staying on course, of really lifting the assets of our students, of our families and our community, and also addressing the social emotional needs of multilingual learners and our families. And again, we continue to celebrate. On our next slide, you'll see that we have engaged through our MCAP Parent Summit and leadership. We have engaged our families from all of our county offices, focusing on parent leadership. We had our special guest during the summit, Lourdes Castro Ramirez, California Secretary of Business and Consumer Services, who provided a powerful message about the importance of learning, leaning on the strengths of our community, and also building on that cultural support and cultural capital of all of our families. We shared just a bit about the IHE convening and collaborative. And the next one, this was our first session with representation from the institutions shared a few minutes ago. We look forward to inviting and welcoming our IHEs again tomorrow to continue the conversation. And Dr. Margarita Machado Casas, Dr. Alberto Esquinca, and Dr. Ochoa will be with us tomorrow at our IHE convening, continuing the modules and continuing that conversation about the need to improve and strengthen bilingual teacher preparation programs across the state. On our next slide, you'll see that we have, through stage 1, this statewide awareness. We've continued to provide free professional learning for all paraeducators. Last year, we served over 350 paraeducators. 2 weeks ago, we had our first paraeducator session again, and next week on October 5th, we invite you, and you'll get a link to the invitation, but these are free professional learning opportunities made possible by 3 of our county offices that are collaborating to provide high quality professional learning to engage our paraeducators at our school sites. On our next slide, very exciting. Last week, there was an announcement, a press announcement made about the CE new statewide literacy and biliteracy campaign. CABE is very excited to be a part of this campaign and collaborate with educators across the state to launch and support this initiative. So we're really excited to be a part of this, and we will continue to keep our MCAP partners abreast of information and additional resources. So again, we want to thank you, MCAP leads. We want to thank our county office superintendents, our leaders from LEAs for just a powerful year 1 of deliverables, where we served close to 40,000 participants. We look forward to continuing this robust network. It's done a great job, as you can see, through year one of meeting our grant goals, and will continue to deliver professional learning, build capacity around the English Learner Roadmap policy. Now, that was year one. Lots of great work. This work is on the move, as you can see. And this year too, we're launching as we go deeper and reflect on our systems, identify needs, and move into stage three. For year two, as we're moving into stage three, you'll see that our partners will have an opportunity to continue to have free access to all of our offerings through MCAP. You'll see that there's free statewide access of the webinars, of our synchronous meetings and professional learning. There will be also networks for teachers and administrators on a synchronous format. It will be open statewide. And we're also launching our statewide digital academies that will be delivered asynchronous style. And very up at the top, you'll see that through stage three, that's where we are currently. Statewide summits and our MCAP innovations. You'll have access to full innovations. And in just a few minutes, I'm going to invite our MCAP leads to share a little bit about our innovations. And we'll be sharing a link on the chat where you can access information about the innovations, registration starting soon. So the core of year two will be your access to the full innovations, where you have the opportunity to develop expertise in the area you select through the offerings that are made. We do encourage you to have the conversations at your LEAs with your entire team to then move into the registration process of that innovation that you've identified you'd like to develop deeper expertise in. And so we know that the English Learner Roadmap policy was approved in 2017. This visionary policy highlights the California vision of success for all English learners, which embraces linguistic diversity as assets while providing the supports necessary to allow English learners that meaningful access to intellectually rich and engaging curriculum. On our next slide, you're going to see our principles 1 and 2, and from the EL roadmap policy. And as we move into our next slide, we'd like us to take a moment. I know that we are very limited with time, but this is really important for us as we move into brief breakout groups and think about what resonates with your work and context from this past year as we look at principle 1 and principle 2. So now I'd like to invite Anya and Erika, who are going to guide us through this breakout group.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. I hope you're doing well. And so before, like Alma mentioned, before we go out into breakout groups, we'd like to just review principle 1 and principle 2 from the EL roadmap policy, and just really reflecting on the impacts of the pandemic and now our in-person return to school. So I will go ahead and read out principle 1. Preschools and schools are responsive to different English learner EL strengths, needs, and identities, and support the social, emotional health and development of English learners. Programs value and build upon the cultural and linguistic assets students bring to their education in safe and affirming school climates. Educators value and build strong family community and school partnerships. And I'll go ahead and bring my colleague, Dr. Erika Garcia, to join me and read out principle 2.
Thank you, Anya. Good afternoon, everyone. So for principle 2, English learners engage in intellectually rich, developmentally appropriate learning experiences that foster high levels of English proficiency. These experiences integrate language development, literacy, and content learning, as well as provide access for comprehension and participation through native language instruction and scaffolding. English learners have meaningful access to a full standards-based and relevant curriculum, and the opportunity to develop proficiency in English and other languages. So now we would like to invite you to join a breakout room to really have an opportunity to reflect and discuss the question posed about what resonates with your work. Gracias.
Thank you. You'll be in our breakout groups for 5 minutes and we'll send you an invitation. Please accept to join your breakout group. Enjoy your conversation. Doctora Garcia, can you drop the question in the chat as well so that our participants have it?
Did you want me to share my screen to them, or are you doing that already? Awesome. Go ahead, Anya. Okay, let me go ahead and do that. Thank you.
So it looks like on this main room, we still have about 20 participants. We invite you to accept the invitation to the breakout group. We have about 4 minutes remaining, reflecting on principle 1 and 2 of the English Learner Roadmap. Thank you for joining your groups.
So everybody that's out, Alma, are just our Cabe.
I didn't get an invitation and I'm trying to figure out where my
didn't get an invitation either.
Where my person
because they were random this time just because of time. Yeah,
okay.
Because last time we had those issues, so we just kind of put them random. But I can put you all in groups, and since they weren't based on groups, I didn't assign you. But I can. Yeah.
I'll go find my person. I'm looking for her right now.
Okay.
Thank you, Anya.
Sí, de nada. No, sí, es que como con el tiempo.
No worries. I just didn't know that part, but thank you. I'll just find her.
And Alma, we have a new feature now that we can share our screen to breakout groups as well.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Here she is.
Anya, do you want to go ahead and share from this moment forward? It's up to you. I was just just loading. I was like, oh my gosh, what's happening?
You're good. I just want to make sure you're good.
No, thank you. Yeah, no, it works now. And Alma, you were sounding you were cutting off on my end.
Yes.
So
we thought we were gonna lose you.
Oh, okay. I thought it was because it had said previously on my no internet connection. So I was like, oh no, I'm gonna get kicked off.
Yeah, I was afraid she was gonna get kicked out. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, ladies. If that happens, I just close my camera for just a moment. No, we're still recording, Alexandria. We have about 2 minutes. I don't know if you want to pause, Alex. Welcome back from your groups. Welcome back from your groups. We hope that you had great conversations. We know we're running a little behind schedule, so we do invite you to share on our chat box anything you'd like to share, any takeaways from your conversations in your groups. We know that your time was very limited, but we appreciate the opportunity of meeting in smaller groups. We are going to continue our presentation, and part of our work together today is really not only reflecting on where we have been through the distance learning, on our coming back and our experiences of back in-person learning, and our just reflection through the work that we've done to principle 1 and 2. As we move on to our next slide, we're going to have an opportunity now to explore our innovations further. Our innovations are aligned, as you know, through principles 1 and 2. This slide is just for reference, but you'll see that we have offerings this year where you'll be able to participate in professional learning through both principle 1 and 2 of our EL roadmap. Now, what I'd like to do as we move into the next part of our presentation, I would like to invite our COE MCAP leads to briefly share on their innovation. On the chat box, we will share a link and the links to the webpage, our interactive webpage, where you can have access to the innovation offerings that we have for year 2 of the grant, and you'll be able to follow along and then go back to the web pages as you are meeting in your LEAs to make some decisions about registering for these. So I'd now like to invite our MCAP lead at Butte, who's going to start us off and hand it over to the REST Innovation facilitators, and it'll be just very brief overview of each of these innovations. Holly, welcome.
Thank you, Alma. So our BCOE innovation is our bilingual teacher pathway. It's a partnership with San Diego State University, and it's an opportunity for paraeducators across the state who wish to become bilingual teachers to remain in their jobs and complete their credential coursework online. Our program offers financial support as well as support to participants for exam completion like CBEST and CSET, as well as an opportunity to get started on their prerequisites for the credential. By taking part in our innovation, participants will be able to start on their own customized pathway to becoming a bilingual teacher in California. So join us or tell your friends or colleagues who you think might be interested in getting a bilingual credential, and we would be happy to have you. And next, I will hand it off to Anya Bobadilla and the Dual Language Teacher Academy.
Hi, thank you again, everybody. Thank you, Holly. And so on my end, I'm working here to talk to you about our GABE Dual Language Teacher Academy. And so what our program description is really, our program is based on 8 different modules that really are kind of a foundation and a guide to prepare dual language teachers and colleagues, including administrators, anybody working with dual language students with higher levels of academic Spanish and practices in order to best practices to teach and support a Spanish dual language classroom. All modules are aligned to guiding principles for dual language education and the California EL roadmap policy. Again, we have 8 modules. Our first one starts in about a week and a half, October 9th. So we really encourage you all to sign up. We have 6 modules presented in Spanish, where we really encourage our participants to practice their linguistic skills, practice that academic Spanish, and we have 2 presented in English. So we really look forward to you exploring, being able to become a part of the Dual Language Teacher Academy. And I'll go ahead and hand it over, I believe, to now, it might be, who is this? Who is next? Oh, Lisa. From
It's me, Anya.
Oh no, I jumped ahead. It's Nicole.
No worries, Anya. Okay, GLAD trainers in the room, help me chant. I'm a GLADvocate, and I'm here to say you've got great things coming your way. Thank you very much. Melanie, Joanna, Frank, Omar, Diana, GLAD trainers in the room. Thank you for that chanting that took place. There we are on your screen. You can see the very special offerings that our Project GLAD, standing for Guided Language Acquisition Design model, has to offer for the MCAP Alliance colleagues present here today. What you're going to see is some really special offerings. Module 1 kicks us off with an orientation, an understanding of GLAD, what to expect, and your journey. Whereas Module 2 is going to go ahead and get you involved in really quality practices for multilingual learners. Here you'll see how to really leverage the multilingual brain, policy application like through the EL roadmap, as well as really strategic supports with GLAD and how it supports with an integrated designated ELD. Modules 3 through 10 are very special. They're going to be offered specific for our MCAP Alliance individuals. And this is going to be a virtual classroom demonstration where you will see this work delivered with students real time in supporting and understanding how this model supports building cultural respect as well as identity while supporting language development. Differentiated supports for individuals supporting in Espanol will be offered for the adolescent educators in the room, differentiated coaching supports there as well as for folks that are supporting in early childhood settings. So come on board, join us in our GLAD journey. And a very special thank you to our facilitators and designers, Diana, Omar, who are in the room. Thank you for all of your guidance and support. Audra, thank you as well. And off to Lisa for her innovation.
Thank you, Nicole. Fresno County is excited to bring our innovation this year, actually a year 2 of strategies to support preschool teachers of dual language classrooms. We will feature our early care center, which is the Lighthouse, which was featured last year as well, which is a demonstration site that houses a preschool dual language program that uses a 50-50 model. So this year, we will be diving into practices to really support our oral language development for our students, supporting the home language as well as English. And we will give you some ideas and some lessons and how that can be incorporated into the preschool program. We will actually feature our Lighthouse and our lessons there that we do with students. So we are excited to present a year 2. So if you were with us last year for our preschool module, we are excited to get into some more strategies, especially using music and dance, and how we can use those to engage our young learners and help them develop oral language. So we hope you sign up, and we look forward to seeing you. And I think I hand it off to Isela.
Thank you, Lisa. Colleagues, SDCOE is proud to bring to you the Writing Redesign for Innovative Teaching and Equity, WRITE for short, an equity-centered approach to integrated K-12 literacy instruction. This professional learning series expands on culturally and linguistically responsive instructional practices with an emphasis on integrated literacy application. Through a very healthy balance of synchronous and asynchronous professional learning opportunities, our participants will be able to deepen their understanding and application of the integrated literacy approach, as they also build their capacity to support classroom, site, and district implementation of WRITE through shared projects and engaging dialogue. Our modules are aligned to the English Learner Roadmap, the Guiding Principles for Dual Language Education, and reference the new CDE publication, Improving Education for Multilingual and English Learner Students, Research to Practice. Colegas, qué placer poder ofrecerles oportunidades específicamente a nuestros educadores bilingües. Nuestra capacitación une las mejores prácticas respaldadas por las investigaciones con la equidad en la instrucción que nuestros alumnos tanto necesitan. We are truly looking forward to our work together. Juntos, sí podemos. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to my wonderful colleague, Bobby Hansen from USD.
Hey, hello, everybody. USD is very happy to be working with our San Diego County Office of Education and the wonderful Fleet Science Center in Balboa Park. And our innovation is language development through science. We have 4 wonderful modules: Think Like a Scientist, Notebook Like a Scientist, Argue Like a Scientist, and Act Like a Scientist. And we actually do hands-on experiments in these sessions. We had to kind of do a little shift with our Zoom, but it worked out just fine. And we address particularly Principle 2. These experiments integrate language development, literacy, and content. We believe science is a fabulous content area. Students love it. They like to talk about it. They like to get their hands into it. And so it's a perfect way to develop language and literacy. We hope to see you. Thank you.
Thank you, Bobby. And now I'd like to welcome Angelica from San Bernardino.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Castro. I'm so excited about announcing our innovation. We're offering 7 sessions or 7 modules. These modules will dig deeper into the area of multilingual education, students in special education, and there will be a total of 7 synchronous sessions with 7 hours of asynchronous work, totaling about 22 hours. In terms of the sessions, session 1 and 2 will focus on dyslexia. The first one will delve deeper into understanding the reading brain, And then the second session will help participants understand about the screening, assessments, and interventions. And then session 3, we're going to delve deeper into the ELD standards through a special education lens. Session 4 and 5 will deal with writing linguistically appropriate goals, going deeper and really having those hands-on application so that they continue their deepening their knowledge in this area. And then the last sessions, which are 6 and 7, they're going to deal with reclassification and monitoring of our dually identified students. So I invite you to join us. We had a fabulous time the last time we offered these, and now we're going deeper. So I guarantee you, you're going to learn a lot. So join us. Thank you.
Thank you, MCAP leads. Thank you, facilitators. We've got very exciting innovations for year 2. On our next slide, you'll see that registration starts on October 1 through our interactive webpage. You'll have an opportunity to explore for a few days. We highly encourage you to meet in your teams and discuss your innovation commitments. Again, registration will open this week, but we do highly encourage you to have those conversations about needs in your LEA and your innovation commitments. So on the next slide, you'll be able to see just another quick little announcement. Last session during stage 2, you did explore the innovations and you had short 12 hours of professional learning. We do encourage you to have meetings with your teams and identify which innovation you'd like to continue this year for a completion of a full innovation. And it does not have to be the innovation that you explored this past year. On this slide, you will see some of the partnership agreements, and truly it's just really continuing this second year of our grant together, this partnership, continuing the work of all of your entire teams participating in the innovations, in the convenings, in the follow-up meetings, also having access to a statewide network of experts, and then continuing the work with our evaluators at Wexford. As you sign up for your innovations, everyone will be completing sign-in sheets. We know that there is a consent form that is required, and we also know that there are some exit surveys. So please take a look at this in more detail and connect with your MCAP lead if you have additional questions. When we look at our next steps, you will be entering into that agreement with your COE MCAP lead. You'll have an opportunity to explore and then commit to innovation. You will be receiving funding for teachers, but also for paraeducators to support their participation in these innovations. And we do highly encourage you to follow up with your MCAP lead to ensure that you are supported in completing all of your necessary agreements for your participation on this year 2 innovations, and also participation through our stage 1 activities. And so now I'd like to, our liberatory design is our framework that is grounded in addressing equity. I'd like to invite Dr. Olympia Kyriakidis from SDCOE, who's going to take us into deepening our knowledge on liberatory design, our framework on addressing those equity challenges, the change efforts in our systems by transforming power and increasing agency to those closest to design work. Olympia, welcome, and thank you for taking us through a deeper dive into liberatory design framework.
Thank you, Alma. Next slide, please. So liberatory design, again, is a collaboration between the National Equity Project and the Stanford University's D School. And it is really a complex, it is designed to address complex equity challenges, and liberatory design is both a process and a practice that helps to create designs that help liberate and increase opportunity for those most impacted by oppression, transform power by shifting the relationships between those who hold power to design and those impacted by these designs. generate liberatory learning and increased agency for those involved in the design work. Next slide, please. So remember that we are really trying to disrupt systems here and trying to really lift equitable outcomes for students and create that systemic change. But we need to really remember what our systems are built on. So if we could just go through the next few slides, I'll have you read them to yourself. Next slide, please. Next slide. And this one image that's fairly current. This is just a little snapshot of a long history of education and things that have really helped shape our system. Next slide, please. Since this is one of my favorite quotes from the National Equity Project, since we know that disturbance is required for change, and there is no doubt that disturbance is happening as we speak, the question is, are we willing to use this opportunity to create the kind of system we want? We have learned that if we are going to change the system, we as individuals first have to see what the system is producing, then we have to engage with others to design something different, and finally we have to act. And again, that's from Hugh Vasquez at the National Equity Project. Next slide, please. And so we really know that listening to those in the system and really thinking about what our students really need to, as Dr. Wong Fillmore shared, to look at our students not as English learners, but as multilingual treasures, that really is a good reflection of the shift that is happening in California's educational landscape. And this is a design work that has been moving us in the right direction. You can see the Seal of Biliteracy, the Prop 58 initiative, Prop 58, Global California 2030, of course, the EL Roadmap, which is what we are implementing, and then our 2 EWIG grants in the center, EL Rise, and of course the one, yay, Multilingual California. This is what's moving us in the right direction, the design work that we need to stay focused on as we implement the roadmap and this new paradigm into our schools and districts. Next slide. Again, this approach is using liberatory design, which is like a new iteration. They continue to iterate liberatory design, the National Equity Project in Stanford. And there is a link here in the slide that helps us, back one, please. A link here that will take you to the new framework. And that is in collaboration in helping us implement the EL roadmap, which is here on the left. Next slide, please. And liberatory design mindsets remind us that equity is both a goal and a process, and addressing equity and inequities requires new mindsets and intentions. So this approach really is designed to use these mindsets as something that we start to internalize and bring to our work every day. Next slide. So again, here are the newest iteration of the mindsets. Again, they're linked in the center here where it's blue. And I wanted, these again are really intended to help us bring equity at the forefront as we notice and reflect in our processes every day and understand and remember that we are all designers, we are all educational designers, and our mindsets matter very much. Next slide. I wanted to highlight 3 right now. Take action to learn. Our innovations we're learning every day. And so we just remembered again to have that strong equity lens and to stay very human and are centered when we learn and we try to implement our innovations and the roadmap. To remember to focus on human values, that we need to really listen to our students and our families, our end users, and to lift their agency in our system and to help them become our co-designers as we implement our plans. And to embrace the complexity. We are definitely living in complex times, and that complexity is something that can feel very overwhelming and messy at times, but by working together in stage 3 and working through these challenges and being a team, we can work through these complexities and persevere. Next slide. And that at the heart, again, you'll see in a moment, of the process is reflection and noticing. And without reflection, we go blindly on our way, creating more unintended consequences, sometimes despite the best intentions, and failing to achieve anything useful. Next slide. And again, notice and reflect are at the center with practicing self-awareness. I think there might be a transition here if we could click again. Yeah, and again, please. So remembering that designers and leaders can practice self-awareness and that build that collective situational awareness, and that we as designers and leaders can pause and reflect on our actions and the impact that we're having and the relationships that we're building, and we can adjust our intentions, presence, direction, and continue to evolve. And the liberatory design mindset support these. Thank you. And so at the heart of it again, the process which we're about to go into here in a moment, what sets liberatory design apart from other continuous improvement processes is really that it's centered on empathy, and that leaders need to learn more from and partner with those most impacted by the challenge. That human-centered design and that empathy is really what sets this framework apart. And that it's a bias towards action, taking actions to learn and making things happen in the system through small actions that will not do harm if they fail, and learn which directions are most promising and continue to spread and scale those and move forward. So as we move into implementing our innovations and the roadmap, taking that action to learn is very important. Next slide. And this is a process that helps us to do that by seeing, engaging, and acting in the system. You can see that now the new iteration of the process is a flower. It's taken, this is its third form. And this one is really a beautiful one with, again, notice and reflect at the center, then empathize and define and inquire into seeing the system, and then moving into engaging with inquiring and imagining, and acting with prototype and trying. Next slide. I don't know what happened there. Something moved, but for our application for liberatory design for stage 3, we're really going to look at this, use this framework to implement the innovations and the roadmap through convenings and through the integration of the framework, the liberatory design, into our professional learning and into our network meetings. Next slide. I don't know what happened, something got must. So our convenings, we have designed a series of convenings that take us through the liberatory design process with action periods in between. So you can see the series of 5 there, and there's more detail on the next slide about when they are, but we just wanted to give you a visual here that we will come together as a group. And it's really exciting to me because as I was like looking at the chat and reading what everyone's saying, I could see that you really all want to work together and collaborate. And I think it's going to be a wonderful experience to bring everyone together in these convenings and to really explore liberatory design, our innovations, and the roadmap together, and to learn from each other and the wonderful work that's happening and what we can design together. And then you'll go back into your action periods in your own teams with your county office, and then back together as a whole to see the system in convening 2, then into an action period, and then into convening 3, and then an action period, convening 4, imagine and try, and then one more action period where we will come to final convening together to reflect together on what we've learned and where we go next, and to learn from each other. Next slide. And so this is a list of exactly what this might look like in a more detailed example with dates and when how long the sessions will be. And you can have that as a reference. Next slide. And I just wanted to end with knowing that it isn't the big leaps and bounds that are really going to make, we think about these huge things that are going to take us and move us forward. We do need to disrupt, but it is us working together as a team and taking those small steps and using the liberatory design process and working together as a team and taking those steps together that will really start to move us and help us gain what we hope for our English learners in our systems. Thank you. Let's turn it back to Alma.
Thank you, Olympia. Thank you for helping us deepen our understanding of our liberatory design framework our mindsets that we know we will be embedding those to the design of the innovations with a focus on having a centered approach. And for stage 3, we do have 8 LEAs that are going to continue in this work in stage 3. The dates will be shared. You'll see those on slide 65 on your participant folder. You'll be able to access the slides so that you can mark your calendars. We'll encourage you to save the dates, and additional information will be forthcoming, but save the dates. The first convening will be on October 27. These are 2 hours, and we are planning to host these on our virtual forum. So thank you again, Olympia, for taking us through this work. And as we move into our next few slides, just quick reminder that we continue to offer free innovations statewide, and we do have the next one, which is innovation for our 5 county offices, but this is the parent workshops that we will host. The next workshop tomorrow from 9 a.m. to 12 noon, and it's really developing parent leadership. On our next slide, you'll see slide for our Para-Educator Professional Learning Series. We held the first one, and this is a collaboration of our partners, Isela Jacobo, Holly Harding, our colleagues from San Bernardino, Rosemary Hyder, and Victor Portillo, who are facilitating free professional learning across the state for our para-educators. So this information you can access through our webpage, and we'll drop the link for registration on our chat box as well. On our slide, on our next slide, academies, we have our MCAP digital academies that will be launched this upcoming month in October. These are asynchronous academies, and this is an overview similar to your exploring of innovations this past year. We have converted this into a virtual form for asynchronous digital academies that will be open statewide, and we'll be providing this information to your MCAP leads about how to register if you'd like to participate in the digital academies, but you can also share this with your LEAs, with other teachers that have not had an opportunity to participate in our MCAP innovations. So again, these are asynchronous, and we'll be starting with our RIGHT, DLTA, and the Bilingual Teacher Pathway, who will be launching in October. On our next slide, you'll see that as part of our MCAP partnership, we'll also receive, each of our COEs will receive a number of complimentary registrations for Agave 2022. That will be in San Francisco, March 30th next year. We know that we heard from a couple of our MCAP leads that be presenting as well. We heard from SDSU, and we're really thrilled to offer you through this partnership a number of complimentary registrations. We do invite you to express your interest to your MCAP lead, who will be doing the registration for the GABE 2022 conference. And the other component of the work that we're doing is if you'd like to access free additional resources, we invite you to please come back to our MCAP webpage. We'll drop the link in the chat, but in our webpage, you'll see that there are additional resources. We do have past webinar recordings that you can use as support for professional learning. And we also have information for our para-educators as well, our flyers and additional conferences that are coming up. If you have any questions for us, we welcome your emails at mcapalliance@gocabe.org. You can email me as well, alma@gocabe.org. And we also want to spread the joy, the love, and the excitement of this partnership as we launch year 2. So if you're active on social media, please feel free to take photos. Please feel free to follow us. We are on Facebook Multilingual California Alliance project and follow us on sharing some of the excitement of a Multilingual California project. We also invite you to register and subscribe on our MCAP webpage for additional updates that will be coming soon. For today's session, if you have not had the opportunity, please be sure to sign in to make sure that we have information from all of the participants. And as we move into our closing for today, I'd like to, it's been a very exciting day. We've had great welcome, warm messages, a great message from our MCAP advisor, Dr. Lily Wong-Fillmore. We had our superintendents. We are very grateful to all of the work behind the scenes from our MCAP leads and our LEAs who are here with us today. Very grateful to our superintendents as well, and to all of you who are reaching out to engage our families in the free professional learning opportunities that we have. We have dropped the links on our chat and invite families to come in tomorrow to our MCAP free innovation. As we bring this exciting day to a close, please share an última palabra or last thought of your session, of our session together. I hope that you are leaving as inspired as I'm feeling with this impactful work for year 2 of our MCAP grant. I hope that you're feeling empowered to interrupt inequities and together to expand learning opportunities to multilingual learners across the state. Please continue to have conversations with your teams and invite your MCAP leads to sharing about your next steps to register for the innovations. Registration for the innovations does start on Friday. And we want to make sure that we remind you as you're registering, be sure to have conversations with your MCAP leads, with your LEAs. Please be sure to use your work email as you're registering for that one full innovation that you're looking forward to completing and committing to. And once again, this has been a great evening of our launch of our stage 2 and our project. And we want to say on behalf of our MCAP Alliance, we want to say gracias. Thank you for joining us today for our summit. With this, we launch year 2 of this impactful grant, and we look forward to keeping you updated of additional professional learning opportunities, resources, events, and activities made possible by this EWIG grant. Again, we want to say thank you. Thank you, facilitators, for also being here with us. Muchísimas gracias, and continue to make powerful impact across the state for a multilingual California. Thank you. Please feel free to unmute and say gracias, good evening. Feel free to unmute and exiting.
Gracias.
Thank you.
Muchas
gracias.
Gracias.
Great work.
Thank you.
Hello. Hello.
Thank you again for joining us for this great evening. We will be closing our Zoom in just a moment, but thanks again for joining us and for staying connected with our MCAP leads who continue to do amazing work in their counties of sharing information. Gracias.
Excelente todos, gracias. Buenas noches.
Gracias.
Gracias, Jorge.
Alexandra, it's okay to stop recording, please. Thank you.